You've seen your cat do this. They're sitting in a normal room, in normal light, and you look at their eyes and the pupils are enormous. 2 black saucers. And most people think it's cute, and they lean in and pick the cat up. Here's what you need to know first. In normal light, with nothing happening, wide open pupils are not cute. They're a message. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's arousal, and sometimes it's the first thing you'll ever notice about a medical problem that's been building for weeks. That one's at the end of this video, and it's the one I most want you to remember. Hi everyone, I'm Leo Bennett, your neighborhood cat guy. Today we're doing the strange stuff. The behaviors your cat does every week that make no sense to you, that you've laughed at or been annoyed by, or explained away with a story you invented. And I'll tell you what each one actually means, because almost every one is your cat communicating something specific in the only language they've got. Quick note before we start. This is one chapter of a much bigger conversation about what your cat is trying to tell you, and I've gathered all of it into a book called The Happy Cat Manual over at leobennettsecrets.com. If you want more happy years with your cat, go take a look. That's all. Now, let's start with the one that drives owners genuinely crazy. Number 8. They beg for food, and then they don't eat it. You know this routine. Your cat leads you to the bowl, they're insistent, they weave around your legs, they look up at you like they haven't eaten in a week. So you put food down, and your cat walks over, gives it 2 sniffs, and leaves. And you stand there holding a spoon, feeling like you've been played. Here's what's usually going on, and it reframes the whole thing. Research out of the University of Vienna found that cats associate food with affection. To your cat, feeding isn't just a transaction that fills a stomach. Feeding is a form of love, and asking for food is a form of asking for attention. So when your cat leads you to the bowl and doesn't eat, very often the food was never the point. The point was you. Getting up, coming over, being in the kitchen with them for 90 seconds. They got what they came for, and the food was the excuse. So the correct way is to read the request rather than the words your cat is technically using. If your cat does this, try responding with attention instead of a second helping. Sit down near them, talk to them, pull out a wand toy. And by the way, this is one of the most common ways cats end up overweight, because a well-meaning owner keeps adding food to a request that was actually about company. But here's the important exception, and please don't skip this. If your cat has genuinely stopped eating, if a favorite food that always worked suddenly doesn't, if that goes on for more than a day, that's not attention-seeking. Appetite loss is one of the most common early signs of illness in cats, and it deserves a phone call to your vet rather than a wait and see. Number 7, the 3 a.m. sprint. Your cat is asleep. Then, with no warning, they explode off the couch, take a lap of the entire house at what feels like 100 miles an hour, run up the back of an armchair, then stop dead in the hallway and start washing a paw like nothing happened. Most people call these the zoomies and treat them as a personality quirk. They're not a quirk. They're a symptom, and the thing they're a symptom of is stored energy with nowhere to go. Your cat is a predator, and hunting is an explosive activity that comes in short bursts. In a house, there's nothing to hunt. So that energy accumulates all day while your cat sleeps and banks it, and at some point the pressure has to release. That's what you're watching. A hunt with no prey in it. Cats are also crepuscular, meaning they're wired to peak around dawn and dusk, which is exactly why this so often happens late at night or at some appalling hour of the morning. And sometimes there's a trigger you never noticed. Cats hear dramatically better than we do. A bird outside, a mouse in a wall cavity, another cat crossing a garden 3 houses down. Your cat locks onto something you have no access to. So the correct way isn't to stop the zoomies. You can't, and you shouldn't want to. It's to give that energy an appointment. 15 minutes of proper interactive play with a wand toy, moving it like something alive, letting them actually catch it, and then a meal immediately afterwards. That completes the hunt, catch, eat, sleep sequence their brain is running, and a cat who's completed that sequence winds down instead of detonating at 3 in the morning. Number 6. Burying things. Most people file this under cleanliness, as though cats are simply tidy. That's not it, and the real reason is much more interesting. When your cat covers their waste, they're erasing evidence. Cat urine and feces carry unique chemical markers, pheromones, that identify the individual animal. To us, it all smells like one thing. To a cat, it's a name badge. And a cat sitting in the middle of the food chain has two problems with leaving a name badge lying around. Predators, who now know exactly what lives here and how recently it passed through, and prey, because a mouse that can smell a cat is a mouse that has already left. So covering it isn't fastidiousness, it's tactical. It's a small animal removing its own signature from the landscape. And your indoor cat, with a heated bed and a prescription diet and no predator within 100 miles, still does it, every single time. Because that instinct doesn't switch off. It's also why some cats scrape around the bowl trying to bury uneaten food. And no, they aren't saving it for later. Cats aren't scavengers, they're hiding the trail. So the correct way here is mostly to make burying easy, because a cat who can't bury properly is a cat who will start looking for somewhere else to go. That means enough litter to actually dig in, a soft, fine substrate rather than something sharp, and no liner catching their claws. Number 5. They flop over and show you their belly. You walk in the door and your cat drops onto their side, rolls, and exposes their entire stomach. And almost every human reads this the same way and gets it exactly wrong. You think it's an invitation to rub the belly. It isn't. That belly is the most vulnerable real estate on a cat's body. Soft, unarmored, and directly underneath sit all the organs that matter. In a fight, it's the thing they'll die protecting. So rolling over and exposing it voluntarily, in front of you, is about the highest statement of trust a cat can physically make. It means I feel completely safe with you in this room. It's a greeting, a compliment, and usually a request for attention. What it is not is a request to touch that area, which is why so many people get bitten 4 seconds after feeling flattered. And there's a physical reason for it too, beyond the vulnerability. Studies looking at feline touch sensitivity have found that the hair follicles on a cat's belly are hypersensitive compared to other parts of the body. So even a gentle rub there isn't just emotionally alarming, it's genuinely overstimulating. So accept the compliment without cashing it in. Talk to them. Scratch their cheeks, their chin, the base of the ears, along the spine. That's where the scent glands are, and that's where cats actually enjoy being touched. Leave the stomach alone. A small number of cats genuinely do love belly rubs, and if yours is one of them, wonderful. But that's the exception. Number 4. Licking you. It feels like a compliment, and mostly it is, but there's more than one thing happening. The first is grooming, and this one's genuinely lovely. Cats groom the individuals they consider family. Mothers groom kittens, bonded cats groom each other. When your cat licks you, they've filed you under family, and they're doing maintenance on you. It's also scent work. Licking transfers their smell onto you, which in cat terms is a claim of ownership. This one is mine. And then there's the part people don't consider. Licking gets massively reinforced by us. Your cat licks your hand, you laugh, you pet them, you talk to them in a silly voice. That's a reward, and cats are very good at noticing what gets rewarded. So some of what looks like pure affection is a behavior that worked once and has been paying out ever since. But here's the one to watch. When licking becomes excessive, that's a different signal entirely. Cats self-soothe by grooming, the same way people fidget. So compulsive licking, especially of themselves, is very often a sign of stress or anxiety. And if you're seeing bald patches, broken hair, or raw skin, that's not a behavior problem to be managed at home. Over-grooming can be anxiety, but it can also be allergies, parasites, or pain in the area underneath, and it needs a vet. Number 3, ignoring you completely. You call your cat's name. Nothing. Not a flicker, not an ear twitch. And you know they heard you, because cats hear better than we do. And you can see them lying there deliberately not looking at you. Most owners read this as disrespect, or as proof their cat doesn't care. It's neither. This is the biggest single difference between how cats and dogs handle social interaction. Dogs are wired to respond to their group. Cats didn't evolve that way. Cats are independent. They operate on their own terms, and they need personal space and quiet time in a way dogs largely don't. So when your cat ignores you, what's usually happening is astonishingly simple. They're comfortable, and you haven't given them a compelling reason to stop being comfortable. That's it. That's the entire insult, and it isn't one. And here's the thing worth knowing. Research has shown cats absolutely can distinguish their own name and their own owner's voice from other voices. They hear you. They know it's you. They've simply run the numbers and decided that staying put is the better option. So the correct way is counterintuitive, but it works. Let them be. Don't escalate. Don't go over and pick them up. Don't repeat the name 11 times. A cat who learns that ignoring you has no consequence and that you respect their downtime becomes a cat who comes to you far more often when it's their idea. And if you want them to come, give them a real reason. A treat, a toy, a lap that's already warm. That's not bribery, that's negotiation. Number 2, the arched back with the fur standing up. Cat goes sideways, back curves up into an arc, fur puffs out along the spine, tail bristles into a bottle brush. And practically everyone reads this as aggression. Your cat is furious. Your cat is about to attack. Almost always, that's wrong. This is fear. You're looking at a frightened animal solving a problem, and the problem is that they're small. So they make themselves as large as physically possible. Back arched for height, fur erected for volume, standing side on because side on is the biggest silhouette. Every element is designed to convince whatever they're facing that this isn't worth the trouble. Because a cat's first preference is almost always to avoid the fight entirely. It's a bluff made from a position of weakness. So here's why misreading it matters. If you think it's aggression, you respond to aggression. You shout, you grab them, you shut them in a room. And you've just added a second threat to an animal that was already frightened, which is exactly how people get scratched. The correct way is to work out what they're afraid of and remove that, not remove the cat. A strange dog, a visitor, a noise, another cat in the garden. Give them space and a clear escape route and let them come down on their own. And never punish a cat for this posture. They aren't threatening you. They're telling you they're frightened in the loudest way their body knows how. And number 1, the one I opened this video with, dilated pupils. And this is where I need you actually paying attention, because this is the single most useful thing in the video. First, the normal version. Pupils control light. In the dark, they open wide to let in every available photon, which is a huge part of why cats see so well at night. In bright light, they contract to that narrow vertical slit. That's just optics, and it isn't information about anything. What matters is when the pupils don't match the lighting. Wide open pupils in a brightly lit room means something else is driving them, and that something is arousal. And arousal covers a lot of ground. Fear, stress, excitement, a cat about to launch into play, a cat who's just been handed something they love, because pleasure dilates pupils as a reflex too. Cats in heat frequently have wide pupils. So context is everything. Where are they? What just happened? What's the rest of the body doing? Wide pupils plus a low crouch and flattened ears is a frightened cat. Wide pupils plus a flicking tail and a locked stare at your ankle is a cat about to ambush you. And this is exactly why leaning in to pick up a wide-eyed cat is a mistake so many people make and immediately regret. That cat is not calm. That cat is loaded. But here's the part I really want you to take away, and it's the reason this one is at number 1. If your cat's pupils are dilated and there is no reason for it, that's a medical flag. Good light in the room, nothing happening, no noise, no visitor, no play, no heat cycle, and the pupils are still wide open. Persistent dilation with no stimulus can point to genuine problems. High blood pressure, which is common in older cats and often invisible otherwise, pain, neurological issues, certain eye conditions. And here's the detail that catches people out. Watch whether both pupils are the same size. If one is noticeably larger than the other, that asymmetry is a reason to call your vet the same day, not next week. So start looking at your cat's eyes deliberately, in normal light when nothing is going on. Learn their baseline so a change actually registers. Because a cat will not tell you they have high blood pressure, and a cat will not tell you they're in pain. But their eyes will sit there, quietly wide open in a bright room, for weeks, waiting for somebody to notice. So let me pull this together. Almost nothing your cat does is random, and almost nothing your cat does is about being difficult. The begging is a request for you. The sprinting is a hunt with nothing to hunt. The burying is a small animal erasing its own tracks. The belly is a compliment and not an invitation. The licking is family. The ignoring is contentment. The arched back is fear wearing a costume. And the eyes are a status report you can read for free every single day if you know what you're looking at. That's the whole thing. Your cat has been talking to you since the day they arrived, constantly, patiently, in a language nobody ever handed you a dictionary for. And you don't need to learn all of it. You just need to stop assuming the strange stuff is meaningless because it almost never is. So tell me in the comments, which one of these does your cat do the most? And did you have the meaning right? I read every one of them, and I'm curious how many of you have been rubbing a belly you were never invited to touch. Hit like, subscribe, and send this to somebody who thinks their cat is just weird. My name is Leo Bennett. Thank you for making the world a safer place for your cats.